So Jeff, thanks for being here today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how the pandemic has impacted your business at Prologis?
The pandemic has actually really highlighted industrial, and obviously Prologis, that's what we do. We're strictly an industrial real estate company. And there's been a lot of benefits from the pandemic. I mean, really, I think the biggest one has been the higher adoption rate of e-commerce and utilizing e-commerce, which obviously is coming out of industrial facilities. As people were locked down at home and couldn't get out to buy things, more and more people who hadn't been using e-commerce or maybe only using it in limited fashions really took to using it more. And now it's really kind of stuck, and you're seeing more and more businesses go to utilizing that platform and consumers using it. So I'd say that's probably been one of the biggest. The other big one has been the exposure that the pandemic really highlighted in the vulnerabilities in the supply chain, of kind of relying on the supply chain to house your inventory, to what they used to call just-in-time inventory, kind of take less space but use the supply chain itself to house your inventory. That really got exposed as a vulnerability in the chain when that happened, when we had so customers really had no access to product and got caught short with not having inventory and lost business. And I think they've all realized that we got to go from just-in-time to just-in-case. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a huge need for more industrial space. I think our company, in fact, our Prologis research department is estimating that over the next 2 to 3 years, we could see 400 million square feet across the country of additional warehouse space being needed. So
how hot is the industrial market in Arizona right now?
I mean, I've been here 13 years and I've never seen anything like this. It was already trending in this direction, just a lot of it because of Southern California and what's going on out there. Obviously, we have access to 25, 30 million people, a short 6-hour truck ride away. But as we see, that market has gotten even tighter and tighter, and the rents have, virtually doubled year over year. That really just catapulted the activity level here in Phoenix. And businesses are looking to this going, hey, here's a market that's growing. There's 5 million people here. It's the 5th largest city in America now. There's a robust, diverse workforce here, and that there's still access back to 25 to 30 million people in Southern California. We're close to the ports to get the goods. Phoenix has a lot going for it, especially the labor pool. That's really a big selling point. That's really kind of a key pain point these days with customers, is access to not only lots of labor, but skilled labor. So I think Phoenix, stands in a really good spot here to benefit over the next few years from this.
So beyond geography, what has Arizona done right to kind of position itself for the success that we're seeing right now in the industrial space?
I think, I moved here in 2008, and obviously if we remember back in 08, 09, when, everything—
Your timing was great.
Yeah, my timing was beautiful, exactly. I came out here and I thought, oh, great, we're going to build buildings, and I'm going to get all sorts of development experience and grow this portfolio, and obviously we know what happened, but I think the economic community here and the leadership recognized that we were somewhat of I wouldn't say a one-trick pony, but just too reliant on strictly housing development and just construction in general, and most of it being homes. And as the home building industry, so went everything else. So it really has done a great job, I think, of setting itself up for being business friendly, getting rid of regulations, making things way more a friendly business environment to be able to grow a business here, start a business, move a business, expand a business, hire people, affordable labor. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, is it's diversified. The economy has gotten so much more diversified and even more geographically spread out here.
We used to think about the industrial growth primarily in the West Valley, but we're seeing it in the East Valley, North Phoenix. Yep. What do you attribute that to?
Each market has a little bit different, thing going on with it. Whereas obviously the West Valley is going to be more your traditional big box distribution, cheaper farmland for the most part, closer access to Southern California, right? You're closer just from one end of the valley to the other. But then on the Southeast Valley, you've got more of a high-tech component to the business, with Intel being out there. And now on that same note, up in Northeast Phoenix, right? Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company is going to be putting in, I think, $20 to $30 billion plant investment up there. That whole market's going to explode. We're seeing it already with just the demand for the few buildings and spaces we've had up there, and they just flew off the shelf. So I think back to the access to labor, having the affordable housing, having the economic climate that can support a well-paying job for a family to live here, and then for the businesses to have employees to work. They're chasing the rooftops effectively. So you're seeing the rooftops being built there. They're being built in Northeast Phoenix, out in Southeast Valley, and the industrial buildings are getting built accordingly. I'd say second, this town, Maricopa County or Maricopa Association of Governments, has done a fabulous job, MAG and ADOT, with building out the infrastructure. It's always staying one step ahead of the curve. You know, when there's a need, it sees the need coming and it's already getting the planning and the funding for it. So the Loop 202 is a big game changer out there in the West Valley. That has now basically kind of tied itself to the Southeast Valley even better. So now you don't have to necessarily work in one submarket or live in that same submarket. You can live and work in the opposite. You can live in the Southeast Valley, drive around the 202, and work in the West Valley. The Loop 303, big game changer out in the Southwest Valley. I mean, we're just seeing that really turn into the new, I call it the desert empire, right? The kind of inland empire alternative, but that's really what it's turning into be. You know, with large buildings that you would typically see in the inland empire being built, 500,000 square feet, 750, a million plus, you know, and we're seeing those users that are now selecting Phoenix over Inland Empire.
Let's talk a little bit about the challenges. We have, you know, workforce challenges here. We have materials challenges. How's that impacting industrial construction?
I guess a couple things. You've got permitting challenges. You know, with people working remotely, I think that's put a big strain on city of Phoenix or any city municipality for that matter, whether it's Tempe, Goodyear, you know, what have you. With working from home has been a challenge. I think that's delayed the permitting abilities, the crush of how many permits are being sought now and how much construction is happening. Then you couple that with the supply chain disruptions to steel, to wood. We even had just recently, we could get the roofing materials. You have to order out long lead times to get equipment now. You couldn't get roof fasteners. So you got everything to build a building and put the roof on, but you got nothing to tie it down with. So it could be the slightest little disruption is really putting a challenge into a construction timeline. So we're definitely seeing that as a challenge.
Jeff, you're known for your great leadership, but are there any lessons that you're going to take out of this pandemic that you think will make you an even stronger leader or a more knowledgeable leader moving forward?
The thing I took most out of this whole phase we've gone through is just being empathetic and recognizing, you know, putting yourself in someone else's shoes, as they say, is recognizing that we all have challenges on this. A big challenge for us has been businesses want to be up and running yesterday, and they make it our issue. And it's really just being upfront and transparent with everyone, with whether it's the brokers we interact with, who then communicate with their client, or then when we sign the lease with them, that we're totally upfront across the board of how this is going to work and what's realistic and what's not realistic. Because I think sometimes people's expectations, there's a lot of pressure to get going, right? There's that pent-up demand, and we all felt like we lost a year or a year and a half potentially, and we're trying to make up for it in a matter of weeks. And it's just, you got to be patient and empathetic, and try to, I think be patient. Patience has been, because there's times when it gets a little stressful and people are getting heated and they've got product coming and they need to get in the building, and it's like, hey, we got to get a permit, we need to do this, we need to do that. You're gonna, have to just be patient. I think being patient.
If you look back at all you've accomplished with Prologis here in Arizona, is there anything that you look at and that gives you particular pride, or you're like, wow, I can't believe I did that?
I've kind of seen the whole spectrum now, because I mentioned I moved out here in 2008, and when obviously the Great Recession crash happened there in 2009, just the bottom dropped out on everything, right? Our vacancy shot through the roof. Even our company was challenged with, trying to survive the whole thing. And at one point, our stock dropped to this record low price, and I remember sitting at the dinner table with my father-in-law going, well, I should either take all my money I have and put it into our stock, or I need to save every penny I have because I need to fill out my resume or update my resume and get out of the workforce. So coming from that to where we are now, and our portfolio here going from, when I first came here, it was 3 million square feet. We're now up to 12 million square feet. We've got another million under construction, and we got another couple million planned. Going from that challenge and that kind of baseline, and being where we're at now, when we were an office of 2 people in this little dumpy office on Elwood off the 10 freeway, and now we're in the Camelback Esplanade with this beautiful view of Camelback Mountain. I've got an office of 15 people. We've got one of the best portfolios in town. I think just kind of the whole spectrum of navigating from that point to where we're at now.
What do you have internally that helped you get through that? Like, what took you from point A to point B? Like what qualities do you have that allowed you to kind of steer the course and keep your eye on the prize?
I mean, there's the, fear can be a great motivator. And there was the fear of, I don't want to go back to flipping burgers or waiting tables. I've come this far, I've made it this far, and I've got a wife and 1, 2, now 3 kids, and I got a mortgage and a car payment, and just that having that backstop that there's a bunch of people relying on me, not only my family but also my friends and cohorts, employees that work with me, relying on me to make deals and make renewals and keep the ship moving. I think is the fear of failing people. I don't like to fail people, my friends and family, and ultimately fail myself. So fear of failure, I think, is kind of a driver.
I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
Outlook for 2022 and beyond. How do you see the industrial market shaping up here in Phoenix?
I think it's going to keep doing what it's doing. I mean, we're already at a record level here at the end of Q3. We've got 16 million square feet of positive net absorption, which broke the record of last year, which was 13 million total. So we're on track to do maybe 20 million plus this year. Record levels of construction. I think it's going to continue to go that way. And like I said, our company is predicting that the next 2-3 years, we're going to see 400 million square feet be needed around the country. And I could see 40, 50 million of that being needed right here.
One thing that has always drawn people here is affordable land. But I'm looking at the headlines, and there's some huge land deals that are happening. Is that gonna come back at us or no?
I think you're going to see land price continue to escalate here, and I think, and maybe we're going to start to see it escalate faster than anticipated. Every comp is kind of one-upping itself every deal right now. Mm-hmm. If you're an investor in the coastal markets and they're paying, well, first off, you can't even get some land, right? You can't even get land in Southern California in some markets. But if you do, they're approaching upwards of $100 a square foot for land. So when all of a sudden you're priced at $10 or $15 a square foot in parts of the Phoenix metro, that's a pretty nice comparison right there. Same with building pricing, same with lease rates for users. If we're leasing at 50 cents a square foot and it's $1 a square foot in Inland Empire, that's a big draw. So I think we're going to see more competition between multifamily developers too, competing for land with industrial. We also have data centers that we're competing with. They're taking a lot of land out here. Low levels of disasters here, relatively speaking. So data centers like coming here, cheap utility rates or affordable utility rates. So I think we're definitely going to see this escalate.
Why don't we finish up? Let's talk about some of the projects that you're working on right now. What are some of the highlights for you?
We are finishing up a site right now in Goodyear, which was our first venture out there. It's 120 acres. We did a large build-to-suit with a very well-known e-commerce company who we talked about earlier. I'm not supposed to say names, but we can all fathom. We also did a nice build-to-suit with a trailer lot with a 3PL distribution company. We're definitely seeing that more now too. We're seeing more need for excess auto parking and trailer parking. So the coverage on the sites is dropping on the building footprints as you accommodate more employees and trailers. And we're finishing up with a 200,000 square foot rear load, which I'm hopeful that'll be done here in February. And if we can keep our streak of being pre-leased and pre-leasing that building too, that'll fill up that site. We've got another site out in Goodyear that's another 120 acres. We've got plans right now for 2 buildings that total about 1.8 million square feet. We're actively pursuing build-to-suits in the market. So I'm kind of hopeful that we're going to land a big build-to-suit here and maybe build our biggest building that we've built in the market. And that we've got another site in the airport that we just finally finished leasing up our phase 1, and we are actively working on our plans for phase 2. And same thing, quoting build-to-suit. So my hope and goal is that we're going to monetize the rest of our land here a year to 18 months faster than we thought we were going to, and be in a position now where we need to get more land, which is what we're trying to do. Because we need to keep riding this train just like our competitors are doing it too. So keep pace and accommodate our customers.